Yes, half a second late.
All good. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the CODEX podcast. As you can see, there's been an After Dark takeover today, and the introduction should be a little bit different. I will start us off, and I will say that the man joining me today is a CGC registered artist. He is the man who gets so many interviews with the Codex station. You can find him on episodes of After Dark and Comic Character of the Week, and you can check out all of his artwork. He has at Dan Kelly Art on Instagram. He is Dan Kelly.
I gotta adjust this light because it's super bright. Yeah, thank you. Great to be here again. Like you said, check me out, Dan Kelly Art at Instagram, and I'm actually getting ready to launch a Kickstarter too. So probably in the next week on whatever shows I'm on, you'll hear me talking about that, and you'll see me posting about it on my Instagram page where I will be doing a Kickstarter making original art. So give me your money.
He's going to put it to good cause.
Yeah, but I'm planning to, depending on how much I make, to take the money I make from this to put towards making an actual comic. But we'll see. But yeah, so thank you for having me on here again. But I'm
1K
not
1K for DK on Instagram. That's our slogan. 1K for DK. We need to get him 1,000 followers in the 800s now. We're getting them to 1,000. So please help that. Go to Dan Kelly Art. Click that like button, subscribe button, 1K for DK.
But, I'm not the only one out of place here tonight. I'm joined by my cohort from a couple other shows. They say if you want to be the man, you've got to beat the man. But nobody is beating this man. He's the hour.
Yeah, baby.
Too sweet to be sour. He is the master and the ruler of the Library of Comics, the Ric Flair of comics. That's one Uncle Gary.
Woo! See, that is why you are my road manager, because you bring me out in style. And that is right. So, here at the Library of Comics, I can't believe Sonny had the bad judgment to let me come on 2 weeks in a row. So, so anything you don't like here, that doesn't reflect on me or Dan. That reflects on Sonny. It's his fault. He knew what he got last week, and he asked for another helping. So that's on him. So, but we're going to try to make it a good helping. So maybe it'll be more palatable. It'll be just as palatable as last week. I loved it. Hopefully y'all did too. Please catch me at Comic Logic if you're in the Northern Virginia area. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. We would love to see you. We had a really big announcement today because on our Free Comic Book Day, that will be this year, Free Comic Book Day is on May the 4th. And for all you Star Wars freaks out there, that's May the 4th be with you, right? So what better guest to have than a Star Wars related guest? And we have from The Mandalorian, the man inside the armor doing the acting with the helmet is on, Brandon Wayne. So he will be at our shop signing. Now, I have to admit, I have not seen The Mandalorian yet. I need to. But for me, that man is royalty because my favorite actor is John Wayne. So I am a John Wayne fan, aficionado, freak for the Duke. So, this to me, meeting that royalty, that bloodline, so that the Mandalorian stuff, that's cool too. But for me, it's all about meeting the Duke's grandson. So I'm totally hyped for that. But that's a big deal. And amongst you Star Wars people, you can make the trek to see us over at Comic Logic, Northern Virginia. And may the 4th be with you. And you can come there and get whatever you want signed. That man will be there to sign it for you. So more details to be coming. There will, I know there's a fee for a signature and things like that. I'm not sure if those details are worked out, but the big news is he is coming to our shop, Comic Logic. So we would love to see you there. Real quick shout out to our good buddy, Archduke Kevy, who started the Comic Character of the Day site. This is a site where most of us got acquainted on, and the reason that we are able to come here and pontificate on this wonderful channel is because we were bound together on that site. I do a comic cover of the day. Dan does a random panel of the day and a question of the day. And everybody here at Comic Logic, everybody here at the Codex station contributes to there. And I know Sonny, he sees what we post, and Sonny puts his like on it, or sometimes when he really, really likes it, he puts a comment, or when he really likes it, he puts a red heart, and the heart that he puts on pulsates. I don't know why anybody else's heart doesn't pulsate. Maybe his pulsates because he has that creative juice, that creative energy, because he is our writer emeritus. He is the one that we have on our staff that writes and acts and has that creative passion running through the blood. So when he puts a heart out, it's a pumping heart. It's a beating heart, because he has got that lifeblood in him, that creativity that just can't be stilled. And we need that in our station. And that's why we are happy to have our buddy, son of the writer, Sonny Kruger. Please, sir, take it away.
Thank you very much. That is right. I'm glad we got our introductions in there. And we are ready for one crazy episode. But before we get on to everything like the comic news and a special, today we will be having a special Uncle Gary's showcase. Before we get into the F-listers and the random panel of the week. And before we even get to the main event, which is us reviewing Justice League of America 200, I must apologize about last week. Things got a little bit wild, and I'm blaming it 100% on Tim. He dropped an F-bomb. I know things got a little bit wild with fists, but Tim was he was a very unruly child, and Tim has been fired. So that's why it's me, Dan, and Uncle Gary for today.
Is he fired or in timeout?
He's actually fired for the moment, yeah.
Really? Or is he in Tim out?
Tim the Terrible is fired. Still fired.
Fired.
He's fired. He has to fill out a new job application and apply for his position again.
Dan, I don't know that you and I can make it on the podcast. They play hardball on the podcast.
I know.
The stuff that we get away with on After Dark doesn't fly here. My goodness.
Well, as fired up as Tim gets about Zeb Wells, there's somebody that we're going to mention and talk about tonight that gets me somewhat fired up in somewhat the same way, but I will try to rein my my hatred in.
We should get a virtual swear jar for Tim every time. So every time it makes him cuss, he's got to put money in the swear jar.
Zeb Wells is going to cost him a lot of money, and he's going to need him even more.
You know how they do in the comics where they have the whenever the characters are talking and they have them swear, they have like all the random
the symbols,
symbols and stuff. We should make a T-shirt that's like a picture of Tim there, and someone says to him like, "Hey, what do you think about Zeb Wells?" And it's just a word balloon with like him,
all those things,
all the symbols like that.
It would be perfect for that guy who was fired.
When you get a Zeb Wells interview, Tim has to be on that with you.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! It'd be one of them ambush interviews.
Oh yeah, it'd be an argument, So hey, maybe that'd be the thing that gets one of our videos to go on viral,
Oh yeah, could be. Hey, we go viral, and then nobody else will ever come on.
Tim would go in there like, "Why do you?" First question as soon as like, "Hey, this is Zeb Wells. How's it going?" Tim goes, "Why do you hate Spider-Man and hate all of his fans?"
Yeah. Oh.
To get him to like rip a Spider-Man comic in half in front of him.
And that would be the high point. Things would go downhill from there.
So maybe one day we can hope that we get that on the Codex station. Dan, you're the man. You get all the interviews, so
I'm doing my best.
Set that up. But everybody, we will move on. We'll get to the comic news / the rundown of the day. And here we go. It all went through. Good job hitting that button, Dan, to get it going. So I'll start us off with
and for anyone out there who doesn't know, I am in control of all the graphics and everything today. They have given me the power. And we'll see how it goes.
You're doing good so far. You were doing good. You haven't thrown any of us out accidentally. Nothing's gone too crazy. You're doing a good job. But speaking of, some people may say he did a good job, but Thundercats #1 has gotten over 170,000 orders right after Rob Liefeld revealed his cover online. So some may are not too excited about it, but yeah, it did do pretty good with the numbers. And the Thundercats #1 is set to have Lion-O, the Thundercats fighting against Mum Ra. And this issue #1 is set to come out February 7th. And the writer is Declan Shelby, and the artist is Drew Moss. But in other news, Masters of the Universe Revolution is set to get their second season, and the executive producer, Ted Biaselli, has said that season 2 is set to really focus on He-Man to make him the prominent character of the season. Also, news I just got right before we started, I saw that our very own Archduke Kevy put on Comic Character of the Day. He posted a link to the article saying that the Marvel's Immortal Thor is set to have its name changed, that it will now be called the Roxanne Thor. So what do you guys think about all that? Because even I was a bit confused with the Roxanne Thor.
The corporation Roxanne, Roxxon. That's in Marvel.
Roxxin, the Roxanne Thor. And that's from Bleeding Cool. So if it's wrong, blame Bleeding Cool.
Well, I mean, Bleeding Cool. There. What was that quote from? Where he was talking about the cologne that he had in Anchorman, where he's like 25% of the time it works 100% of the time. I feel like Bleeding Cool is like 25% of the time they're right 100%. Like, who knows? I mean, it might be. It sounds like a stupid title, but I don't recall seeing Roxanne show up in Thor yet.
Wasn't that the? Yeah, they were in Hulk, right? Or wasn't that the corporation the Minotaur was in charge of?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm a bit confused at that. I was like, let me mention it to you guys and see what you think of that name. Yeah, one thing with Bleeding Cool is I always like how I don't know if I really like it, but it gives me a little laugh when they say trusted sources.
Oh, yeah. What is it? It's like a proven and trusted source.
Every article seems to say that. Yeah, so.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, whatever. The book's been good as long as it stays good.
It has been a good book.
As far as the Thundercats thing, I mean, I saw the Rob Liefeld cover. It's
no feet.
It's Rob Liefeld. To me, it's nothing special. I'm amazed that he still draws the fans that he does. I will admit his art has gotten better than it was in the 90s, but it's still not that great.
That's not what he says.
Oh yeah, I know. I saw the quote where he said he's the best Wolverine artist there is. And I just had to laugh. I'm like, I could name like 5 guys off the top of my head that I would say are better Wolverine artists than him.
Yeah. So I don't think I'll be getting that issue #1. Do you guys think you'll be getting Thundercats #1?
I'm not even versed in. I never even watched the Thundercats. It was a little, after my generation of, so I'm not even versed in them. I know the main character's named Lion-O, and I always thought that sounded like a train set to me.
Yeah. It's Lion-O.
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 I don't know. I might pick it up when it comes out. Like I might, if it's on the rack, I might pick it up, flip through it, and see how it looks. I definitely won't pick up the Rob Liefeld cover. But, I might flip through the book and see if it looks decent. It'll depend on the price point. It'll depend on, how much other stuff I have coming out that week. I grew up watching Thundercats, but, I'm not as invested in it now where I'm like, I've got to check out Wildcats, or Wildcats, Thundercats. But
maybe he draws paws better than feet.
Well, if you notice on the cover, there's no feet on it. It's like Lion-O from the shins down and then a couple heads that are floating behind him. But, I don't know. Rob Liefeld needs to step away from doing alternate covers. He needs to go back and, that Brigade Kickstarter that he ran a few years ago, which he still hasn't fulfilled. Maybe he should work on actually getting that book out there.
So when people put money out on something like that and it doesn't come out, do they get their money back?
They do not. One of the things it says on Kickstarter is that you're backing the, I forget how it's worded, but it's such saying like you're backing the idea. So, if somebody, runs a campaign and they don't fulfill it, you're just kind of SOL. My wife backed one. This is maybe 10 years ago or so. It was this cooler that this guy put on there called the Coolest. And it was a cooler that had like, like a little radio built into it, and had a USB charger built in, and it had like the cutting board had in it, and it had dividers in there for for keeping your stuff divided, so like you could have the ice and the sodas in one part and something the other stuff in another, and it had like all this really cool stuff, and it was like $120 cooler, $100 something cooler, and she backed that. The guy ended up making, I think, like over $1 million on it. It was this huge thing, and he didn't fulfill it, and all these people were just out money. I think he shipped out like maybe 5% of them for people that were supposed to get them, and
wow.
it
Sounds
sucks.
like a piece
I
of
mean,
trash.
it sucks when people do that, because it ruins it for the people that that do fulfill their stuff.
That's why we can't have nice things.
Yeah.
And we definitely have a very important comment, if you'd like to read that, from TJ. And I will answer that question. So TJ says the question is, how big are the boobs going to be on the Thundercats? Debelise. No.
Bigger than Caps.
Oh, I see what he did there. Yeah, that.
So maybe one. I don't know about the left one though.
I hate that Liefeld went and did that new Cap cover, the one with Sam Wilson, where he like redrew it as Sam, and he's like, oh, it's back, and I'm like, this is terrible. And the Sam Wilson one, if you can imagine, it's even worse, because when you look at like the placement of the logo and stuff on it, like it doesn't match up at all, since it's a side view. Like, it's just terrible.
Not long ago, me and Tim, we even said that picture haunts. It doesn't ever go away. Every now and then we stop talking, and then suddenly something comes out with a new one.
There it is.
We can never escape Captain America with those huge breasts. But one more time before we jump on something else, Dan, you mentioned being a Thundercats fan. So, do you want to say it? Do you want to say the big saying?
Thunder, 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 Thundercats, ho! Screw Rob Liefeld.
There we go. I was waiting for the ho. Yeah.
And I will say too, about, you mentioned the thing about Masters of the Universe. I watched the first season of the animated series, the one Kevin Smith did. I know a lot of people complained about it, but I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was spectacular, but it was pretty decent. I'd rate it probably a 6 or a 7 out of 10. It was entertaining. The animation was decent. The voice work was pretty good. Everybody focused on, where's He-Man? Where's He-Man? I was like, well, it's not called He-Man. It's called Masters of the Universe. There's all these other characters. So I think that's why they're specifically saying, oh, this one's going to focus on He-Man, because he wasn't the focus of the first part.
Yeah, I do admit that kind of threw me off, because I did say, I'm like, you know what? I haven't watched it, so I don't want to say good or bad. I'm not going to judge it on that, but I did say, I'm like, without knowing that He-Man's on there too much, it really kind of didn't get me too interested in it. But
there was a He-Man and Masters of the Universe cartoon that was on Cartoon Network in the early 2000s. That one was really good. And there was a Thundercats one too that was also excellent. And neither one of them got to finish their stories, but they were so good.
Yeah, because that was the one that I watched. There's the one in the early 2000s.
Yeah.
I still have my Castle Grayskull somewhere in the shed. Yeah, I got some of those figures.
Nice.
And then, all right, guys. So we've been talking about other works, and now I say it's time that we get to our works and some of the things that we've been working on. So I'll start by telling you guys that Series by Series, Episode 3, I've gotten through all the editing parts. Now it's time to work on color grading, making it look nice, and audio. And yes, there will be a song by a band called Never Say Die that features this man right next to me, Dan Kelly. So at one point during the episode, you'll hear some music, and you may be like, that singer's voice sounds a bit familiar to me. And yes, that's Dan Kelly's voice. So I've been working on that every day. And also, I started releasing, the other day, I released chapter 1 of my book called The Good Priest. The first chapter is called Meet the Priest, and it's on Wattpad. The story is called The Good Priest, and my username on there is Son of the Writer. And also, last night, this morning at like 4 a.m., I started writing a new story, and it is called, right now the working title is 1900 Detective. So it's about a detective finding a serial killer in the year 1900. So it's a short story. I love my writing. That's what I love to get to. But speaking of writers, the other day, me and Dan, we interviewed someone who not only he does writing, he does interviews, he's a teacher, he does so much. And it was Patrick Hickey Jr. Not too long ago, 2 months ago, I did a one shot with him about how he came to own his own comic company, Legacy Comics. And then a few days ago, me and Dan interviewed him. We had a full about an hour and a half interview, and we talked about everything, from him, still a little bit about him making his comics, but the comics he's worked on, his company, him being a teacher, interviews with, like I said, he was talking about interviewing Paul Walker, Chris Claremont, Channing Tatum, the Ultimate Warrior. So that was really interesting interview, and I look forward to everybody being able to check it out. And then I know for the Codex station, there is set to be somebody set to appear on Unleashed soon. So I'll let, if any of you guys want to take over and talk a little bit about that interview with a certain someone from Mon Comics.
Oh yeah, well I'll let Gary talk about that because he's going to be on. I'm going to be out of town this weekend. It's my wife's birthday tomorrow, so we'll be going out of town for the weekend, so I can't be on. And of course, that's when they were like, "Oh, we're gonna have Mon Comics on." I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna miss him again."
Listen, I don't know why, but Brandon has just said that he does not want to appear with you on a show. I don't know what's going on. Y'all need to work this out and just extend the olive branch so y'all can amend this feud that you have going here. So
I'm there with you, Dan. I haven't been invited on the show either. I want my invite.
You want your invite? Well, supposedly next time we're on his show, it is supposed to be y'all, y'all and Jamie to go on. So it's going to be great to have Brandon on. When we were on his show, it was a blast. I guess it was Wes and it was myself and Sal and Tim, and we had a good time. And his Big Five show, you're supposed to show five books. Well,
You gave everybody quite a show.
Yeah, so I can't say I didn't get the memo. I got the memo. I ignored it. I hit the gas, and I showed a bunch, and then I teased him, and then he wanted to see books. I said, "No, you can't see that." I showed him all these books he couldn't see since we can only do 5. So had a great time with it, and that's exactly what my cohorts wanted me to do. So I didn't go rogue. It was a team decision, and they. My team here at Codex, they put me in the cleanup hitting spot because they knew that I was going to blast it out. But everybody in front of me got on base, and that's what made it a grand slam. And that's, teamwork makes the dream work, right, fellas? So yeah. That's what we do here at Codex. But anyway, we're going to love to have Brandon on. So I know he's a horror guy. So my showcase for Saturday night, Brandon, if you're watching, I'm going to give you some good horror, baby. So I think that'll make up for me hijacking the show. But it was a great crossover, and like I know TJ was with us earlier, a lot of the people that followed Mon came over and are subscribers here now. So we're thrilled to have some of those wonderful folks that Mon Comics had in their stable. So there's room for all, for us and Mon and all these other great channels. There's enough to go around. There's enough wonderful content to go around, and we're honored to have folks come in. So, we look forward to that great cross-pollination. And just like great comics do, we have team-ups, right?
Yeah,
isn't that what's great?
It's a great crossover. So.
Yeah, it's a crossover. It's a wonderful team-up. So please tune in for After Dark this week for a very special episode with our man, Brandon from Mon Comics. So.
I'm looking forward to it. And earlier, Dan, you were mentioning that you have quite an interview coming up. Was it next Friday? If you'd like to tell us about the guy.
Yeah. So next Friday, I'm going to be. Well, it's not going to be done live. I'll record it, so I don't know when it'll actually show up on the station. But next Friday afternoon, I'll be doing an interview with, I'd say, maybe legend, comic book great Al Milgrom. I mean, there's so much stuff that he's done over the years. Like, I mean, so many books, especially stuff at Marvel.
Yep.
It's just a ridiculous amount of books and really good stuff too. So I'm looking forward to talking with him about his career. And I usually try and keep all the interviews I do positive, but I think on this one I'm going to have to ask him about the Bob Harris thing. Like, it's too big of a thing for me to not ask him about.
So yeah, it's gonna be a good one, man. And yeah, next he's worked on so much, even too. Right after you told me like, hey, I'm gonna be interviewing Al Milgram, I was looking at a bunch of X Factor issues I have over there, well, trade paperbacks of them. Because he was
Yeah.
on X Factor for like then he was like right after it became the new X Factor after 71, he was on there past 100.
So on West Coast Avengers for a long
West
time.
Coast, yeah.
Yeah, Avengers. He edited Marvel Fanfare.
Right, and that was a
Iron Man.
groundbreaking. That was a groundbreaking book. When Marvel Fanfare came out. So that's a hell of a legacy on what he did on that book.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask him about how he like wrote himself into it, like reading stuff in it. Yeah, I mean, it's just there's so much stuff that he's done with his career, and he's done it as an editor, a writer, a penciler, an inker. Like he's created so many characters. He co-created Firestorm. There's so much that he's done. So I am really looking forward to talking with him.
Yes, that'd be good. Dan, I said I got to start calling you Killer, Dan, Killer Kelly, because you're killing it with all these interviews, man.
There's other ones that I'm working on. There's other ones I'm working on. I'm just waiting for the creators to get back to me. They've agreed to do it. They just have to set dates for it. So I don't want to. I don't like to announce anything
until it happens. I get you.
Yeah, or I don't even like to tell the Codex guys, who the interviews are with until like I actually have a date set.
I get it, man. So, but I'm looking forward to the interview. Like I said, we got plenty of things coming from the CODEX station. And now it's time. Before, I used to have this thing on early episodes of the CODEX podcast called From the Vault. I'd show some old things I have. But now there was a special segment on CODEX After Dark, and that is called Uncle Gary's Showcase, where you show us quite a bit of what you have. And I said, you know what? We got you on today again. So I'd like to have a special Uncle Gary showcase, and you agreed to do it. So, Uncle Gary, let's see what you've got.
All right. Well, because in your honor there, Sonny, you're more of a Marvel guy. I know you're an X-Men guy, and you also said Silver Surfer was one of your favorite characters. So that's how we're gonna that's where we're gonna go. And we were I figured I would start out with, there's only one Silver Surfer of the original set that I own, and it's this one right here.
Oof, one of the best covers right there.
Yeah.
That is one of my all-time top 10, probably top 5 all-time favorite covers.
Yeah. Now, do we want to go large with this?
Oh, yeah.
Let me. There we go.
There we go.
There we go, fellas. So there it is. Yep.
There's one of the best. Yeah. Silver Surfer number 4. Yeah.
All right.
How did you get a hold of that?
I've had this book, gosh, maybe 20 or 30, maybe 20 years. And the thing is, it looks great. I've got a little bit of damage in this corner down here, but that's okay. That makes the book, made the book affordable then. And even now, this, in the past 20 years that I've owned it, this book has skyrocketed. This is easily, I would say this is one of those few books that almost everybody can agree is on their top 10 covers of all time list.
Oh yeah. When we did our episode on Thor, that made my top 3 covers. Whenever we do one on Silver Surfer, guaranteed that's going to be on the top 3 covers.
Well, yeah. So I think everybody, if they were going to say what's one of your top 10 covers, that's like on everybody's list. Now, another one that might be on a lot of lists is right here is the famous Steranko. King's, it's a whole king size special. That is a famous Steranko cover, and I love it when they, use the logos as part of the cover. So that's
awesome. Man.
That is Steranko.
Read it in.
Yep, Steranko at his finest.
I like how he was holding up the Hulk, and then he's kind of stepping on the Inhumans. Yeah.
Yep, and it's breaking. So that is some goodness there. And we teased it a little bit because all roads lead to Hulk 180. and for people that this is a point of contention, but I'm going to spell this out. I'm going to speak very clearly and very slowly. Wolverine's first appearance is in Hulk 180. It's not 181. It is 180. 181 is much more valuable, as well it should be. But Wolverine appears in the last panel and even speaks. So that is a cameo, but that is his first appearance, Hulk 180. So did y'all get that? Hulk 180 is the first appearance.
Was
Wolverine?
it a facsimile like the one I have, or is that an original, a first printing?
What do you want to take a gander? What do you think? See that little 25-cent mark up there? That'll tell you.
Oh yeah,
That's the real dealio, baby. And
look at it; it's in perfect condition.
It's pretty nice. You know, it's pretty nice. Even nicer though might be this one.
Oh, and there it is, one of those holy grails.
There it is. You know,
181.
181 got a little bit of ding at the top, a little ding right over there, right there. But the rest of that is pretty special.
Yeah, we got a comment from TJ.
Thank you.
Great books, guys. Just keep watching, TJ. There's gonna be a few more.
There we go. And there's Hulk 182, where Wolverine appeared on the first page, and then he was gone. So,
there's Hammer and Anvil in there.
Yep, Hammer and Anvil. So, you know, if you're a Hammer and Anvil fan, but you know, I don't know where we go from here. Here's a special facsimile book from 1962. That'd be Amazing Fantasy 15.
Wow, if you can see the big smile on my face right now. Wow, that is.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Amazing Fantasy 15.
That is amazing.
I got a picture. I got to hold it.
Yep, Dan has a picture where this is in his hands, and I think Dan will tell you this book purrs.
I got to ask you, how much did that one cost?
This book, I bought this book in about 7 or 8 years ago now, maybe, for $3,300.
Whoo! More than I have.
Well, let me tell you this.
Well worth it.
It is not worth $3,300 anymore.
Oh, it's gone up, I'm sure. Yeah. It's really gone up.
It's really gone up. I couldn't afford it these days. So now, Sonny, I know that you are. Well, I'll end up. Sonny, you're a big Punisher guy, right?
Oh yeah, one of my faves.
One of your faves is the Punisher. So, what's his first appearance?
Spider-Man 129.
This thing? Is this it?
That is it right there.
Here's what TJ had to say about that.
Well, yeah. Here, look now. If you thought that Hulk 181 was clean, look at that. Look at this goodness here. This is,
I say, probably the biggest regret of my collecting is I had a copy of that I got
those lines
for like $100, and I sold it right after the Punisher movie came out, the Thomas Jane one. You made a little bit of profit on it, and because the books weren't worth at the time, they weren't worth what they are now, and they kind of held a steady value for a long time. Like, who knew they were going to blow up? But I'm like, man, like that would, if I still had my copy, that would have been the gem of my collection.
Yeah, and you know what? I think the Punisher, the 129, is very undervalued. I really do, because you compare this to the first Moon Knight, and the first Moon Knight is higher, and I think the Punisher is much more important than Moon Knight. So and
he's in a more marquee book too.
Absolutely. So I don't get it. Here's my 300. If we all want to see a nice 300.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Now I bought that.
Those with great condition. Like I said, the Spider-Man 129, and then also this one too.
Absolutely. That Spidey 129 is a 9+ easy. This is way in the 9s. I bought this off the rack. So these books, I bought those when they came out. So those are the Spideys, but I know what's near and dear to your heart is X-Men. So I wanted to show you. Sonny, do you know what my Unbroken X-Men run starts with? What number?
I believe it's number 1.
You believe it's that? Is that what
you think? Yeah, and there it is.
Is that what you think it is, Sonny? There's my number 1. So,
I was right. Wow.
So my run goes from 1 to 544. Yeah, that's what it is.
So it's like my run goes from 1 to whatever one came out last week.
Exactly. 1 to whatever came out last week. The whole
I got a
enchilada.
picture where I got to hold that one too.
Yes, he does.
Nice. So how did you get a hold of that one?
I bought it through my good buddy and personal comic dealer, Mr. Damian Hill from Warthog Comics. So WARTHAWG. Very fair man, extremely fair grades, extremely fair prices, and honorable guy. So that's where I got it. So, number one is cool, but can you back it up with a number two?
Oh, the Vanisher, man.
The Vanisher. Here we go with these great X-Men, the Marvel and the red covers for number two. Daredevil 2 is red, Sergeant Fury 2 is red, X-Men 2 is red, Spidey 2 is red. So something about number twos, or they wanted to do them with red. So 2 is great. What about 3? Do we want to see 3?
The Blob.
The Blob.
And they all look in good condition to me. I mean, from what I see, yeah.
Well, Dan's seen them in person, and I think they're pretty decent shape.
Now, the first printing with the 12, you could see with the 12 cents, yeah.
Oh yeah. Now a facsimile of this came out this week, so at the shop. But who needs a facsimile when you have a number 4 like this? Actually, I like to buy the facsimile so I don't have to thumb through the originals. But
I do have a facsimile of that, but I don't have obviously I don't have that one with the 12 cents.
Yeah,
I love that cover too.
That
is crazy to look at all the coloring mistakes on the cover of that Magneto's helmet, the Scarlet Witch. It's funny that they made the coloring mistake on Quicksilver, and then that would end up becoming his color scheme, years later.
Yeah, the Scarlet Witch is looking a little green in that. So there's 4. What do we have at 4? How about 5? There we go. So there's a 5 for you. So
I could stay here all day going through all these X-Men comics.
Well, you're going to get a little Submariner action now in 6. So there you go. And you got another Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch appearance in this. And then you got Subby joining them. So, and then 7, we're going to give you some more Blob. Who doesn't need some more Blob with number 7? So
Blob didn't have his outfit. He just had a little pair of purple shorts.
Well, it's hard for him to buy off the rack.
Yeah, it is hard for him to buy off the rack. That is a very good point. There's number 8. See, if this was last week's show, I would say it was Anus the Untouchable. But this week, it's Eunice the Untouchable.
I was just say that name. It can mix a lot of people up with Eunice. Yeah.
Eunice. Yeah. How about like we're doing with Mon Comics? How about a crossover?
There you go. Crossover with the Avengers.
Yep. Thank you, TJ. I'm pretty lucky, pretty proud to have these books and have them converted. But there's a great Avengers crossover there.
And you think about it with Eunice, like he had I remember as a kid when I would read, obviously I didn't have those copies. I had those Marvel Masterworks hardcovers, and the Eunice one, I remember reading that thinking like that's a pretty cool power set. Like, and he's a character that they did not do a lot with after that.
No, they didn't. Now, if he'd had a mode of transportation that was just like one big giant wheel, what would that be? That'd be the unicycle.
There you go. I was trying to catch on to it before.
No, I know. That's it's dad joke time. Hey, let's go to Savage Land. How about that?
Oh, some Kazar.
That was the one that introduced Kazar, right?
Yeah, that reintroduced him, right?
Reintroduced him, yeah.
Kazar dates all the way back to Marvel Mystery Comics #1.
Yeah,
he goes that far back. So
it's seen the animated series. I used to think Kazar was a He-Man copy, and then later found he's way before He-Man.
Way before.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lord Kevin Plunder, way before. He's a Tarzan clone, but there we go. There's number.
And
11.
One thing that was cool about the X-Men animated series was it told everybody this is how you pronounce his name, because that was one of the ones like, is it pronounced Kazar? Is it Kazar? Like, nope, it's right there on the cartoon. It's Kazar.
Kazar, absolutely. So, who doesn't like Jugs? I like Jugs.
Oh,
there we go.
Awesome, yeah, first appearance of Juggernaut.
Yep, first appearance of Juggernaut. So, not bad shapes. It's got a little bit of work to be done on it, but I'm happy with it. I'll keep
That's,
it.
I noticed, you've said before, all the Marvel #2s have the red covers. It's not just that. A lot of these X-Men books have red covers for the backgrounds.
They
Red,
do.
like reddish orange.
Well, you're very prescient on that. I'll show you one in a minute. Now, this is the second appearance of Juggernaut. This one is really in nice shape. And I know we got some glare because the Gerber bags do that. They make these things sparkle, but they also give you some glare. I love the perspective on this cover, with the X-Men.
Right next to Juggernaut, yeah.
Yep, with, Jugs in the foreground and then clenched fist. And
you see Human Torch in there, too.
It's also got Angel going up against him, who, of all the original X-Men, is the one that would do the least amount of damage to Juggernaut.
Yeah, and I don't know why the Human Torch is in there, but he is. So, and then what were you saying about red covers?
Oh, yeah. Another great one.
I love it's so funny when you look at how the Sentinels used to look.
Mm-hmm. That's the first Sentinel, yep. And then I'm jumping up a ways, but what about red covers?
Yeah, Havoc first, or excuse me, Banshee. Yeah,
that's the first Banshee. So I love that book. That's a great cover. So those are some early ones. Now you tell me, do you want? What do you want to see? Let's see. Do you want to see more of these early ones? Do you want to see more of the Byrne run? What are you looking for, Sonny? This showcase was for you, so you tell me.
I would think. You want anyone you want, any comic you feel like showing. I do like seeing some of the original ones. I don't get to see them too often.
Okay, so the Byrnes and stuff like that. Okay, then let's stay in with the early ones and give you some more of those. Now see, we're jumping now. Here's a 32 with a beautiful Juggernaut cover.
Nice.
Beware the Juggernaut, my son.
Yep. Beware the Juggernaut, my son. And 33 is a pretty cool cover replete with floating heads.
Right, it is an awesome one, yeah.
Yeah,
I see in the comments TJ says mimic ? And I'm sure because they say you got the whole thing. So
yeah, I got them all. The mimic. This is a cover that because at one point I think Mimic took over Xavier, or was that Changeling?
No, that's Changeling.
That's Changeling, and it died, and they thought Xavier was dead. This book is kind of pricey because of the Spider-Man crossover. So, number 35. So these are the early ones, and now we're going to jump to 49. Steranko, baby.
Oh, Steranko, yes.
They even used that cover in one of the Epic collections because that's how cool that one is.
Yep. So that's a great Steranko.
There's one cover that you skipped over that I like. That it's one that I used to have a beat up copy of it, but I had it, and it's another one I wish I still had. Was the one where they got all the new uniforms, and it had the cover showing all of them.
Yep. Yeah, right. So in this box, what I had is some of the top X-Men ones I was keeping together. Here's a Steranko beauty.
Oh, the first Polaris. That's a nice one.
Yeah, I love that cover 50. Yeah, because I love how it's all so much green with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a Polaris.
So that is beautiful. Here's your 51. Another, and these are all very decent shape. Most of these are at least very fine. And then
there's Eric the Red.
Yep. And this book ended at 66, and then it went to reprints because it wasn't selling. And the guy that was doing the art right as it was getting to that phase was Neil Adams.
I was going to say you didn't have the Neil Adams ones in there, that great living monolith one.
I think Jamie would love what it says on that cover. It says Cyclops must die.
So this was Jamie's favorite book. So that's for you, Jamie. Cyclops must die. We're getting to your living monolith one.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, there's 55. So in 56, new guy takes over.
Yes.
Neil Adams.
What is the power?
Yeah. So, I mean, isn't that just beautiful?
That's great. I love how he's grabbing the logo.
Absolutely. 57 here, we're going to make a wish with Angel.
Oh.
Yeah. So we're gonna just rend them asunder. So the great Neil Adams again. Oh, here we go. Havoc.
Yeah, there's an awesome.
That's such a good cover.
Yeah. So
It's very cool, very different. I like how it is.
Yep. Very good. So and let's see. Do we have any more Neil Adams goodness for you? Yep, we do. All right. Here we go. Great Cyclops cover.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do love that cover, yeah. Now this is one I need to upgrade. So this one will get upgraded by me. This is the weak link in the Neil Adams batch.
But, you can send that one to me when you get the new one.
You know? Yeah, I was going to say the weak link for him is the book that all the rest of us would love to have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because look, it doesn't hold a candle to how nice this one is.
Oh,
no, Sauron.
Yeah.
Yeah, forget how Sauron had different like color wings and everything. Yeah, like green and brown.
Uncle Gary, you want TJ's got a question. I'll let you answer this one since you're showing the books off.
Did Adams start at the reprints? No, Adams ended at the reprints. So when we got to 66 was the last issue, and I don't think Adams did the interiors on it. He did 65 though, and after 66 they went to all reprints and they cut back to earlier issues. So it's kind of interesting that even with Neil Adams on here, the book was still floundering. So there's another Sauron cover, another Neil Adams, and interestingly enough, his great DC work, Green Lantern, Green Arrow, that book was also canceled, where it was just not ready. Here's a fantastic Neil Adams Kazar cover.
That's a good one.
Oh yeah, I hadn't seen that cover before. It's a cool one.
Yeah, that's 64.
Now strikes Kazar.
That's
60. And when they started the reprints, they didn't start at issue 1. They started
no,
it was when they introduced Juggernaut.
Yes, they did, absolutely. And then that ran from 66 to 90 or 67 to 93. And when I finished my X-Men, the last ones I needed, there's another Great Adams. The last ones I needed were those stupid reprints, and those were cheap. And by the time I started buying them, they were a little more expensive, and it pissed me off. I was paying so much for a damn reprint book, but I had to complete the run. So there's Sunfire.
I have. That's a great cover.
That's first Sunfire. So,
there's a couple of them that I got for a decent price at Baltimore Comic-Con this year. One of them was I got a copy of 67.
Yeah, which was the first reprint book, the Juggernaut one. Yep. So this is the last Neil Adams interior art, 65.
Let me see. This Slaves of the Star Spawn.
Yep. And then here we go, 66.
I love that one with the Hulk.
Yep. So this was a Hulk one, and this ended the new books. And you didn't have another new X-Men book until this. So
there you go.
Now this one is beat. It's got some issues on it. I considered a couple years ago about upgrading this, but I decided not to, and I put my money another direction. So I will live with my copy here. That is, probably a 4, probably a VG, but I'll live with it and be okay with it.
Yeah, for me, Giant Size X-Men #1. That's I think one of my favorite covers too.
Yep. So I love the cover, and like I said, this. I would prefer to have it in a higher grade, but for what I could have done for this, I would have had to trade this book in, and instead I kept this book, and for the money I used, I upgraded my Green Lantern, Green Arrow 76, and I upgraded my Swamp Thing 1, so I could get both those books that mean more to me than this book did. So I went that direction, but it was a tough decision. Nice. Yeah, it was
good.
And we know you love your Swamp Thing, so
I wouldn't pick it out of the long box.
No, I'm thrilled to have that book. So Sonny, that was the X-Men for you. You've seen all the. I guess is there anything in the burn run you want to see, or you're happy that satiates you for your showcase, because it was in your honor, my friend.
I would thank you very much for showing it, and maybe next time we'll jump on to some more stuff. another time. But thank you so much for showing all those amazing comics. I knew that's one thing I was very excited about for today. I'm like, I'm gonna get to see and be a part of seeing all those X-Men comics. So thank you for bringing them out.
Absolutely, and there were some you hadn't seen before, which is great.
Yeah. Yes, thank you for having Uncle Gary's showcase here on the Codex podcast.
Yeah, he said he didn't get into X-Men until Days of Future Past. I mean, that's a good one. That's a good storyline to get into.
That was, those two issues were amazing. So
think how much they've resonated over the years, how they just keep going back to that.
And the cover is so amazing that cover is homage to, is an homage, to that all the time. When you see those covers that they refer back to like that, it shows you how powerful those books are. But yeah, Days of Future Past, so good.
You showed this. I don't have the original one, but I have a reprint that I got when I was a kid, the Fantasy Masterpieces reprint.
Right.
Nice, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's not the original, but it's the 1979 Fantasy Masterpieces. It just reprinted, essentially, was a reprint of the Silver Surfer Volume 1.
But still, it's awesome to have that.
Yeah, it's like I said, that's such, and I didn't realize the significance at the time when I got it when I was a kid. I was just like,
"Oh, that's cool!
This is a really cool cover." Finding it. When I used to go to like antique stores and thrift shops and stuff with my parents, like, "Oh yeah, this is a cool looking cover. I'll get this."
Little did you know that you were picking out some comic gold.
Yeah,
I did that.
And how we were saying how Days of Future Past is such a very important story to X-Men. Let's get on to something or someone a bit useless, and that means that's
you're welcome. It's my pleasure. Thanks for watching.
Yes, thank you, TJ. So yes, we're talking about something important. Now let's get to someone useless, and that brings us to our random panel of the week. And Dan, would you be a dare and show us what the random panel of the week is?
And it is right here.
There we go. And we see it says, "Hold it, not you, Cosmic Boy. Don't you remember? You're useless today." And that is when Cosmic Boy had, which was one of the worst, in my opinion, one of the worst outfits in all of comic history.
Yeah, like why is Cosmic Boy wearing a big tee that, is like not even a shirt? Like
he's not wearing a tee. That's no shirt.
So, barely covering his nipples.
Okay, so first of all, I know the reason in the story. So, do you know what art is that, Dan? You know that art. You know that artist.
I know it, and I can't think of it.
You interviewed that artist with me.
Oh yeah, it's Grell.
It's Mike Grill. Mike Grill created that costume. Cosmic Boy's powers are
the magnetism.
Right. So what there are metal fibers in that costume, and that's what holds it up. So Mike Grill, has talked about that before, that he's used his power is holding up the magnetic fibers in that costume. So that's why he can wear a costume like that. He's from the planet Braille, and the reason he's useless in this panel is because it's on his planet. There's one day a year where they're not allowed to use their powers. So I'm surprised his costume is being held up at all. But they're not supposed to use their powers on that one day of the year. So that's why he is useless today.
Well, I think that this costume shows that no matter how great a creator is and how great an artist like Mike Grell is, not everyone is a home run.
No,
exactly.
Not everyone's a home run. And for the people that all, but I appreciate this costume because a lot of people think that it's all about the TNA with the women. So we got a little bit of a man exposure here. So I think that's great for a little bit of beefcake for the ladies or for the fellas that like
beefcake.
Yep. So I think we're for equal time, and we're giving the people that want to look at the beefcake something to revel in. So
I may have to go just as that for maybe Halloween or some cosplay. Maybe I'll show up on an episode of the Codex podcast, or maybe with that outfit I may have to come on After Dark with that and show it to you guys.
Well, there
you do have a Halloween episode.
Yeah. Honestly, I think I'd rather fight naked than wear that outfit.
What? I'll tell you what, Sonny. If you walk, I don't know exactly where you live. I don't know what neighborhood it's like, but I'm gonna say it's pretty safe to say that if you walk around your neighborhood wearing that, you're not gonna get a lot of candy. You might get something else.
Well,
Oh.
I was gonna say too, if you start a fight with that outfit, you'll end up naked.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna have to use a lot of double-sided tape.
Oh man. But who knows? We'll see. I'll let you guys know if I do end up making that outfit. I'll let everybody know here on Codex. I'll be like, guys, guess
Well,
what outfit I'm wearing, and it
let
won't
me
be
tell you,
useless.
if that's what you're wearing, that's a lot of courage. Styling and profiling. That's right. That's right.
But before we jump on to something else, Uncle Gear, do you know which comic that is from? In case anybody wants to check that one out.
Well, that is it is from Superboy and the Legion of Superheroes during Grill's run. I couldn't tell you the exact issue number, but it would be between Grill took over in number 203, which was the death of Invisible Kid. And I think by 239, 240, Grill was just doing the covers for the book. So I'm going to say that's between, my best guess is, yeah, you're right. Dominatrix stuff, buddy. I'm going to guess that book is between, it's definitely not 203. I know that, but somewhere between 203 and I'm going to say 222. I bet it's in those earlier issues, but but I remember that panel. I remember that story,
And Cosmic Boy, he wore that outfit for a while. It wasn't like a one-time thing.
No, he wore it for a while. And Cosmic Boy is one of the 3 founders of the Legion.
Yeah.
Do we know who the other 2 are?
It's Saturn Girl and Lightning Lad.
Yes, you are right. Winner, chicken dinner. Yep.
But I just want to say too that if you want to get a comic like that or lots of other comics, we have our sponsor. One of our sponsors is Nirvana Comics in Knoxville, which is that's the shop that Tim goes to. And what is it? He always says that there's a comic for everyone. They'll have a comic for you.
Yep.
Go check them out. The address is right there. You can find them online too. Go to nirvanacomicsknoxville.com and you can order issues off of there, and who knows, maybe they'll have that issue of Legion of Superheroes. You could add it to your very own collection.
Yep.
Perfect.
Who wouldn't want that? I want it. I own it. You should too.
Thank you, Dan, for doing that. I'm not the best guy with the sponsors, but I can mention Dubby. Check out Dubby.gg and the code -X for 10% off. So there you go. Dubby.gg. Give yourself some energy. Password code -X. Save yourself 10%, and that 10% helps the CODEX station.
Wait a second. I'm trying to find the W one, and I don't see it anywhere on here. All right, the W one is missing, but yeah.
But at least I said it, right?
You said it. You said it very well, and people know that that's where they need to go. So we are there. We are there to help them if they need guidance.
Yeah.
And while we're plugging stuff, we'll just go ahead and plug ourselves now. Check out thecodexstation.com, or check us out on the socials at the Codex Station, and check us out on thecodexstation.com, and you'll find links to all of this stuff, as well as some nice merch.
Absolutely.
Right there, a hoodie. And I always have one of the best merch we have, the Codex sticker.
TJ said he needs to brush up on DC. Yeah, there's a lot of DC fans that are on this station.
Yeah.
Well, I'm more of a DC guy than a Marvel. I mean, I do have plenty of both, but yep, the Badger. The Badger was I believe First Comics started.
Yeah,
with
I think
Badger.
so.
Yep.
Yeah, had that red and black costume.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was a little. I believe he's a bit of a psycho. So, and he's kind of a Wolverine derivative, but still fun.
All right, but guys, we were talking about the random panel of the week and a bad outfit, but Cosmic Boy actually isn't a bad character. He's a tough character. He's an important character.
Mm-hmm.
He had a bad outfit, but things have changed. But let's stick on to something bad, and that is the F list. The character joining the F list today is Critical Mass.
Wow.
He's huge. He's extremely obese. When you look at that outfit, it's like a little bit of purple, like a light.
He is large and in charge.
Man.
There is with his team. There is getting some spider web in his face. He says, "Hey, no fear." There he is, Spider-Man saying, "Missed Fatso."
Wow.
You won't stop me. I'm a bad dude. TJ, I'm glad to see you love the F list. I love the F list too.
And you see some of the other characters that are in the background with him here. Is just full of F-listers.
Oh yeah, that's a team of F-listers right there, Dan.
Yeah, I remember those episodes. That was when Eric Larson was on Amazing Spider-Man when he followed up McFarlane.
Why is our dude wearing a blouse?
Oh man, but all their outfits are pretty crazy when you look at the whole team.
Yes, man.
And then once again, there he is. And I like that the picture takes up the whole screen. I'm pretty sure if he was here, he would cover all three of us.
Man, that's a bad night.
Oh yes. So guys, which one of you would like to take a guess or stab at the story behind Critical Mass?
You want to take a shot at it, Gary?
Critical Mass. I think Critical Mass won a contest where he went to this famous chocolatier's house factory where he made chocolates, and he got a hold of some special chocolates, and he just kept expanding. And then he was taken in by these little orange fellows, and they like to keep him there as a mascot, and they would feed him chocolate at the end of the chocolate river that just keep flowing into him, and he kept growing larger and larger and larger. And just like the alligators that they keep in New York bathtubs, he got too big where they couldn't hide him any longer. And the proprietor of the factory just kicked him out. And because of that, because he was no longer wanted, he had a bad attitude, and it made him angry, and he lashed out at the world in any way that he could.
I love it. You know, I think they've made some movies about that place.
Yeah, I think it's something we might be familiar with.
Honestly, I might get stuck in a place like that too. I have a bit of a sweet tooth, but obviously not as bad as Critical Mass's sweet tooth. So are you guys ready for the real history behind Critical Mass?
Yeah.
No, I'm not, but we're going to do it anyway.
All right, so prepare yourself. It's not as bad as Heavy Flow, but
nothing is as bad as Heavy Flow.
But you know what? Critical Mass is not such a nice guy, though. Critical Mass's real name is Arnie Gunderson. He was created by Eric J. Larson, and he has been in Marvel Comics Presents. It says 48, but when I checked out issue 48, I didn't see him in there, but he was in also issue 49.
How could you miss him?
That's why I'm like something. I think they have it wrong. I'm pretty sure it's 49. But then Marvel Comics Presents number 50 is when he died. So he only lasted for a couple issues. So what he was is Arnie Gunderson was a classmate of Spider-Man's in 4th grade. In that picture, you could see Spider-Man says that voice, that face. That's Arnie Gunderson from my 4th grade class. Boy, has he blimped out. Although I don't get how Spider-Man would recognize his voice, because he's clearly a grown man. I'm guessing his voice would have changed since 4th grade.
Maybe it hasn't.
And I'm disappointed in Spidey. He's fat shaming.
Yeah. Well, the one thing he might, there's a thing though, because Critical Mass is pretty mean. And Critical Mass, if you see, he has a team with him. Mm-hmm. Right on those pictures. There he is. Yep. And he's ready for the team name?
Critical Mass. The team, they're the ones that go get the food for him, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Critical Mass's team is he's a part of the Band of Baddies.
The Band of Baddies. Wow.
Yeah. Dan, we were talking about great team names, so there you go. You got one. Band of Baddies.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. So, Critical Mass and his Band of Baddies, they kidnapped a young girl by the name of Mary Beck. She was a mutant. she had a lot of. She's like extremely powerful, but like I said, a girl. So Spider-Man and Wolverine came in. They saved the day, fought with the band of baddies, and then Mary Beck, she used her powers and pretty much exploded the whole warehouse they were in. Spider-Man got out. Wolverine obviously got out, and then the band of baddies it appeared that they all died, including Critical Mass. So that's how he's dead. But Mary Beck did get away. Wolverine was able to get her and her father away. And that's pretty much the whole story of Critical Mass. That's it to him. His power, like he's obviously, as everyone can see, or if you are just listening, he's extremely fat. But he does have one power, and it's that he has the ability to project an explosive force from his fingertips. That's why he has this.
Well, I bet he has the power to have an explosive force come out of another part of his body too.
Well,
Oh,
you
yes.
know, I see where Dan's going, but I thought it was going to be projectile vomiting, to be honest with you.
Hey, maybe if he gets a hard enough hit, he might do some throwing up. Or I'm sure if he let out a fart, he could really damage people with the smell. You know, especially if he was against Wolverine. But he didn't bother to do that in the fight. He wasn't so smart. He really didn't even, for his powers, he really didn't even pit up a fight. So Critical Mass, Arnie Gunderson, he is a kidnapper and was a part of the band of baddies. And he pretty much sucked, couldn't fight, and was killed by a little girl. And that's the story of Critical Mass. So, guys, do any of you think that this F-lister can ever make it out of the F list?
That dude, the F list is too good for that dude. So, I mean, that is way too good for him. He doesn't even deserve to be on the F list. He is buried further down the alphabet.
Dan, how about you?
There is zero chance that he ever makes it off of the F list because he is dead and he needs to stay that way.
Is there a letter after Z? Because that's what I'd give him.
Well, when you see those
symbols or something,
I was gonna say, yeah, when you see all those variant covers that go so many issues, he'd be like the double Z.
That dude is, yeah. There is no chance. Whether he's alive or dead, there's no chance.
Not all of them died though. Some of them came back in this one, Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 340. Yeah, I'm gonna make it.
okay.
Where you see, there's a couple of them there.
There
survived. Okay. And now Spidey has female trouble.
Yeah. I like one
I think
comment.
Big Flo had female trouble.
Oh, yeah. She had a lot of it. If you want to see that comment that TJ said.
Yes, I was just putting that up.
Yeah. Or he owned a taco truck. He is showing off that taco meat. Is the back of his costume brown? I'm going to guess so. And then it says, yeah, he ate all the truck profits.
Hell, he ate the truck.
Taco truck, explosive gas. Yeah.
There you go.
If he knew how to use if Arnie Gunderson was a bit smarter, he could have done that and actually been quite a tough villain. But he didn't do that, and he didn't last long. And like you guys said, yeah, I think there's no way he makes it out of the F list. He's another one of those characters. It seems like there's a few F listers they make him extremely obese. Even though he had some powers with the explosives out of his hands, he didn't do much with it. He's also a kidnapper. I think Critical Mass and his band of baddies, they all remain in the F list.
They were created to be killed, I think.
Yeah.
You could see with the stuff like that, you know, what Eric Larson, you know, how he took it even further when he went and did Savage Dragon. He was able to do everything the way he wanted it without having to be reined in.
Yeah, and it eventually did lead to Heavy Flow. So it all starts with Arnie Gunderson.
I think Arnie and Flo have shared DNA.
I agree, and they're both F-listers, so now maybe they could be reunited in the F list and
in the afterlife.
Yeah,
the F list afterlife. They're reunited.
Oh man, and eating a lot of food.
The afterlife has run out of food.
Yeah, with those two alone, and there's Pink Pearl, but yeah, so there's gonna be a fight. Yeah, but yeah, so there we go. That is Critical Mass. And before we move on, I would like to say that it's pretty funny how his team is the Band of Baddies, and how nowadays the term baddie is used for like a young, good-looking woman.
Yeah.
She's like, "Hey, you guys want to see a band of baddies?" So I was like, "Oh, let me see. Here you go."
Not what they were expecting.
Yeah. So there you go. Good trick anybody could play. April Fool's Day is coming up, in a few months. So if anybody wants to play, there you go. A trick you can play. Go check out these Band of Baddies.
Mm.
But now we've talked about Band of Baddies, horrible teams, horrible outfits, and now I say it's time to get on to something really good and really special. And
Goodies.
that's our review for today. And today, us from the Codex station, I, Sonny Kubrick, joined by Dan Kelly and Uncle Gary himself. We are reviewing Justice League of America 200. And
Go
usually,
throw that up again.
Yep. Oh, you know what? It's even double special.
Open it.
Wrapper around cover. How about that?
There we go.
Wow, Sonny, you sounded aggressive. You're like, open it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Open it now. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to see that. That is an incredible cover for an incredible story. But before I get onto a little run through of the story, I will let Uncle Gary tell some of the credits, because this is an all-star cast.
It's an all-star jam. Yeah, absolutely. So this is Justice League of America 200. For my mind, this is the greatest anniversary issue ever done. This is when anniversaries of books like 100 issues, 200, 300, they were really celebrated. And this was fantastic. So George Perez did the main chapter, the framing sequences between chapters. And Jerry Conway wrote this, who was a longtime Justice League writer. And this book was so good, they split it up into chapters, and they had these guest artists came in, and they did characters that they were famous for drawing. So some of the guest artists were Jim Aparo, Terry Austin, Brian Boland, Brett Breeding, Pat Broderick, Jerry Conway writing, Frank Gosia, Dick Giordano, Carmen Infantino, Gil Kane, Joe Kubert, George Perez, and then I want to give the whole crew a shout out that worked on this book, from the Jerry Conway script. George Perez and Brett Breeding did the framing chapters and did the big end chapter in the beginning. Roy Thomas was a technical advisor. John Constanza was the letterer. Carl Gafford was the colorist. And Len Wein was the editor on this book. So this book here, fantastic anniversary issue featuring top talent and legends in the industry.
I mean, that's an all-star cast there.
Yes, it is.
An all-star cast of comic creators and an all-star cast of characters in Justice League of America 200. So the story begins with the origin of the Justice League with the original members. Green Lantern, Flash, Martian Manhunter Jean, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. So we get
Aquaman.
Aquaman. Yep. So the original 7, and then it tells how they battled the Apolex meteors, or excuse me, the Apalexians.
Yes.
Due to the Apalex meteors crashing on Earth, and then that was back in an old Justice League issue.
Justice League 9.
9. Yep. Justice League 9 showed the origin. So that was their first enemies that they fought when they formed the team. But then now we go to nowadays. I like that it started off showing us the previously how it happened. So someone who didn't read it or wasn't familiar, it gets you caught up with the story right away in the first few pages. And then suddenly we see, the Justice League has changed over time. And now we have Firestorm. He's in the Watchtower. And then the Martian Manhunter breaks in. So the story with this is, I don't want to go over the whole thing, but we get to see the old Justice League taking on the newer Justice League at the time, New Justice League. So we get to see the battles between Firestorm against Martian Manhunter. We get to see Aquaman take on Red Tornado with interference from the Phantom Stranger. We get to see Zatanna versus Wonder Woman, Green Lantern Hal Jordan versus the Atom. We get to see the Flash versus I'm forgetting the Flash versus Elongated Man.
Elongated Man. Yeah.
Yep, Elongated Man. And then we get to see Green Arrow, even though he's not part of the team, he says, "I'm still going to stay by your side, Black Canary," as they take on Batman. And then we get to see Hawkman take on Superman. And one thing I love for all these battles is that each battle there's always a big splash page showing it. So we could see all these great fun battles, these, some of our favorite Justice League members. And then, as we're going through that story, eventually, don't want to give too much of it away, but it's because the original members, they're trying to collect the Apolex meteors, and then the newer Justice League members are trying to stop them. And during this time, because they sent out a signal from the watchtower, an old honorary member of the Justice League, the Snapper, came there, and he gets involved. And obviously the Snapper is not going to talk, but some may remember that the Snapper's first appearance was in Justice League of America 28.
Brave and the Bold
28. Yeah. So that's when he also became that honorary member. So here he is back in issue 200. And obviously we get these great fights. We do get to see the Epalexians come back. We also get to see a nice cameo. Well, I shouldn't say cameo because he's on there for a couple pages, but we get to see Adam Strange and Alana Strange make an appearance too. So this is an all-star comic book, like I said, all-star creators, all-star characters, and we do get to see the Justice League team up and take on the Epalexians. And for me, this is a really fun story. It's like I said, as I was mentioning, you get to see all these great fights between the Justice League members. You get to see a bit of the history of the Justice League. You get to see action all the way through. It's 72 pages of nonstop fun from beginning to end. The artwork is great. The story is great and fun. And like I said, we get to see these characters we love. And Uncle Gary, like you were saying, that they had the artists who were specifically focusing on those characters work on their parts, their chapters. So there's 10 chapters, and they fly by. This is truly a very special comic book. Like I said, this is what you want when you get an anniversary special. This is for Justice League of America 200. And for me, I highly recommend everyone checks this story out, especially if you're a DC fan, Justice League fan, even if you're just a fan just in general of comics. This is what you want when you say, I want a fun comic book that I'm going to read through pretty fast. It's not too long. It's at 72 pages. You can see this whole story from beginning to end. You get an origin. You get these fun fights. You get a bit of everything. And for me, it's probably one of the most fun comics I've ever read. I, Sonny Kruger from the CODEX station on the CODEX podcast, gave Justice League of America 200 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Ooh, nice.
Yep. So I can't recommend it enough. It's an awesome, fun comic. Dan, did you have as much fun with it as I did?
I did. This was my, I've said it before. This is my favorite era of the Justice League, where it was the satellite years, where it was the big team, where you had, at that point, you still had most of the original members as part of the team, and you had all these other new members. So, yeah, it was really cool. The beginning where you get to see it was, a quick run through, like, I think it was just 3 pages of the, kind of origin of the Justice League. It ends in the cool group shot of them, which I thought was interesting. They had Wonder Woman in the forefront of that, because normally it's Superman, but they had Wonder Woman there, which I thought was great. And then you get to see, like you said, all the newer members going up against the older ones, and they don't recognize the newer ones because they're all had their minds messed with. I did think it was kind of weird that Firestorm would not recognize who Martian Manhunter was, because I was reading it like, okay, even if he's not, because he's this, slacker punk kid, even if he's not studying his Justice League files, like, everyone should know who Martian Manhunter was, because he was, one of the main members of the premier superhero team. But, it's just like nitpicky stuff like that. Like the artwork is gorgeous, especially when, like you said, it's cool seeing Joe Kubert do the Hawkman stuff, and Carmine Infantino doing the Flash stuff, because that was one of my favorite books to get the old issues of when I was a kid, was all those Carmine Infantino issues, the Flash. And it was really cool seeing them, the Brian Boland stuff, even though he wasn't really known for Green Arrow. His stuff, I thought, looking at it, reminded me a lot of Mike Grell. And that first page that he did, that is like with Green Arrow and Black Canary in it, is just such a spectacular page.
Yep.
Just gorgeous artwork all the way through. Like you said, it's a fun story. It's a nice anniversary one where it calls back to their origin. and even throws in, the worthless character that is Snapper Carr. But it was fun too to see, like Firestorm interact with him, and Firestorm be like, "God, this guy's annoying."
Yeah.
But it was cool to see all that. I had a lot of fun reading it. There were some little, nitpicky things with it. Like I said, how it was like, how's Firestorm not going to recognize Martian Manhunter, who's like, one of the preeminent superheroes at that point? Because, this was a time before there were 1,000 different characters running around. But, that's nitpicky. I as another nitpicky thing, there's a part where Superman says he had on this lead shield that was so thin that, translucent. I'm like, all right, you could have, you could have come up with something a little better for that, but whatever. It was cool seeing Phantom Stranger in it, kind of being a dick, just for reasons that they didn't really get into other than him being Phantom Stranger. It was cool seeing Adam Strange, even though clearly to me that one was like someone, Perez or someone was like, I want to draw Adam Strange, and they're like, oh, how are we going to get him in here? Like, I'll just have these 2 pages where he's transported here and then he's sent back, and it really doesn't have any effect on the story other than the fact of they're just getting Adam Strange to pop up in the book, which is kind of funny in itself. But and what was really cool too was not just you seeing the old leaguers fight the new ones, but then the team ups at the end where they broke up into teams, and it was, each team was like half old leaguers and half new ones. That was a lot of fun seeing, them go back and have to fight the Apalexians. And and then, you mentioned there is a former leaguer that rejoins the team in it at the end of the issue too.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's also like important to the story, not just fun.
Yeah.
It's an important part to it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's something that was an important thing too. And I really enjoyed all, how they got all the artists to come back to, and it made sense the way that they brought them back too. It wasn't just kind of you do a page and you do a page and you do these pages. Like, it made sense for how they did it. So overall, I would rate it a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10 for Dan. 10 out of 10 for me, Uncle Gary. I know this is one of those very special stories to you, so
it's special to me. My first book that I ever bought was my Justice League 111, which is my Genesis book. So Justice League is always special to me. I love this title. This is why I fell in love with comics. This book calls back many things. So as far as Firestorm not recognizing John Jones he faded out of the Justice League in issue 71 was his last book, and then you never saw him again until Justice League. He went back to Mars to help repopulate. When they had their new colony, they were starting Mars too. He doesn't appear again until Justice League 100, and I believe it's 15, one of the 100-pagers, and he appears for one issue, and then he's gone again, and you don't see him, I don't believe, until this issue. So with the timeline they're trying to establish, John had been off planet for quite some time. Firestorm's a teenager, so it's possible. I get that. That's feasible. The Superman translucent suit thing was kind of silly. Snapper Carr, do y'all know? So Snapper Carr helped them defeat Starro the Conqueror in the first appearance of Brave and the Bold because he had been liming his lawn, and the lime on Snapper Carr was a weakness for Starro, and the league figured out that's how to defeat him because Starro had Snapper weakened him just by being in proximity with him because of the lime he had. But he was supposed to be the connection to the kids. He was this hip cat that always snapped his fingers, so that's why he was Snapper Carr. Do you know why he and the JLA were alienated?
I don't remember why. No.
Issue 77. And it's the reason why they have the satellite. Snapper becomes influenced by a guy named John Doe that is railing against the league and against, that they're powerful and this and that, and that they're not everymen like, everyone else is, and that they need to be held accountable and to higher authority and all this. And he betrays the league and gives away the location of their headquarters that we see in this book in Happy Harbor, Rhode Island. So their secret headquarters he gives away to John Doe, and John Doe turns out to be a major DC villain, turns out to be the Joker. So
I was gonna say the name John Doe.
Right. So that got Snapper exiled by the league, and he made a few appearances here or there, but they brought him back in this one to, that's why at one point Green Arrow's kind of crusty with him. So that's why he's snapping with him. Now, as far as the Adam Strange goes, the reason Adam Strange is there is because he had been in many issues of the league. He was.
He was in some great. I kind of got why it was into him. But it also didn't really fit. It was a part of the story that if that hadn't been there, it wouldn't have affected the story.
No, not at all. And they put it in there, and I love it because it was a way to get him involved.
Oh yeah.
They brought him to the party. So same with the Phantom Stranger, who was invited to join the league in issue 103 that Len Wein wrote, and the Phantom Stranger never formally accepted, but he shows up every now and then like he's a leaguer, so he does accept through his actions. So what was really cool about that segment, so that was drawn, that chapter was, and I love the splash pages on all these chapters, was so great. Jim Aparo was famous for drawing Aquaman and the Phantom Stranger. Those were two characters that he had long-running gigs on doing those characters. Carmine Infantino had the great classic run on the Flash, but he also was a co-creator of Elongated Man, who first appeared in Flash 112. So Elongated Man was a backup feature that would alternate with Kid Flash in the Flash comics as a backup feature. So to see Infantino on those two characters was fantastic. Pat Broderick at that time was drawing Firestorm, so he was on that chapter. Dick Giordano did Wonder Woman on that chapter, and he had done her book for a while. Gil Kane was famous for doing Green Lantern and the Atom, which was and you see the Atom's trick that was really cool is the Atom would travel through the sound waves on the phone line, and that's where he would get from place to place is by making a long distance call and traveling along the sound waves, which is so trippy when you think about it, that he'd go halfway the world around that. But Gil Kane, who drew both the Atom and Green Lantern for many issues, he got to do that one, and of course the great Joe Kubert doing Hawkman, and Perez doing the the beginning, the recap of the origin, and the chapter linkages, and then at the end. Now, I think my favorite part, I'm going to show you at the end, where they all get their act together, and the new leaguers and the old leaguers get on the same page. And I'm going to show this great image by Perez. Can we see that? Is that showing up good? Okay,
right there. Yeah.
So there we go. So that's the league springing into action. And what I love, they kind of took a dig at the Avengers on this.
Yeah, they don't need a catchphrase.
Yes. They have no battle cry, nor do they need one. They are 15 of the greatest heroes this weary world has ever seen. And their strength resides not in simple slogans, but in their very identity. For they are the Justice League. So, for me being more of a DC guy, and look, I love Avengers. I got every issue of Avengers, but I love that. They need no battle cry. So I love that for a fan that loves this book, this series tremendously. This was a home run for me. I love it. The nostalgia that bleeds off every single page. For the art on this book, with all these different chapters, the art gets a 10 out of 10. And yeah, there are a couple little goofy parts of the story, but for all the high notes that it hits with me, all the, there's even a mention in there that Green Arrow and Hawkman had bad blood for a while, and they did have a feud for a while.
Yeah.
And the fact that, they each helped each other in this book was a wonderful callback. So for all the great callbacks, Jerry Conway's script for me, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. So 10, Sonny. You're on 10s. I love this. I love this book. And what I really like is that y'all had fun with it. Dan, had you read it before?
I don't think I've read that issue before. If I had, it's been a long time.
Okay. Well, Sonny, I know you're not as deep into DC as I am or Dan is, but I love that you loved it and you got the fun, because that's what it is. It's just a fun book full of nostalgia, and starting off with the origin from JLA and JLA 9 to kick that back and have it beautifully done and sequenced by Perez was just wonderful. So to me, it had all the feels for me. So I love this book. Thank you all for indulging and reading it with me. So I appreciate it.
Thank you for picking it. Yeah, like you said, it was a very special book to you. I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one. And yeah, like I said, I had a lot of fun. And that picture you showed at the end, the splash page, I had to read it, online, and I took a screenshot of that one because I loved it so much. And then you happened to literally take it out and show it. So yeah,
absolutely.
Love the artwork.
And here's something else that's great about this book. It's not expensive. It's not expensive. You can get this book in beautiful shape for under $20, So this is not an expensive book. So you can get this book in decent shape for $5 to $10. So
a lot of those old Justice League books. I mean, I picked up issues of Justice League, and I'm not talking about like years ago. I'm talking about, fairly recently in the past year or so. I've gotten, issues of Justice League like in the, pre-100 and the 100s and stuff for like $1 an issue.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I definitely want to add that to the collection. That is an amazing comic. So everyone, I, Sonny Kruger, give Justice League of America 200, 10 out of 10. And Uncle Gary also gives it a 10 out of 10. And Dan gives it a 9 out of 10. So it's safe to say that everyone for the Codex Station, we love this story, and we highly recommend you check out Justice League of America 200. And we're always reviewing things here on the Codex Podcast, and not just the Codex Podcast, the Codex Station. So everybody watching, if there's something you would like to see somebody review, put in the comments. Let us know if you want us to review it here on the show. You just want to see a review just in a separate video. Put it in comments. Let us know. Even too, if there's more F-listers, random panels of the week, anything, let us know. And right now, what it's scheduled to happen, I might rehire Jamie and Tim. I might have them back. Tim picked out this story to review, so maybe it's good to have them back. But we are set to review soon. On the next episode of the Codex Podcast, we're scheduled to review this story, and it is the Fantastic Four Full Circle.
That is good.
So
Dan has it. Dan has that book. Yep.
Yeah, right there it is.
Yes. So good.
And Alex Ross did the interiors too.
And I love the dust jacket, how it folds out to do the origin.
Wow, well, I think I'm going to open it tonight or either tomorrow, but definitely I'm set to review it next week.
Oh, you haven't read it yet? You're going to have a lot of fun with it.
It's a treat. We're done with such love to Stan and Jack.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to it. So yeah. So next week in the Codex Podcast, set to review Fantastic Four Full Circle. And it's been a great episode, guys. Thank you all of you guys from After Dark taking over the show and having a great time. And we did behave ourselves.
We did.
See, so
Tim was the common denominator that made us go off the rails last week.
Yeah,
it was all Tim.
It was all Tim.
Tim the terrible.
Tim was he was like infant terrible. Yeah.
But speaking of terrible things, I'm pretty terrible at ending the shows. So, Dan, if you'd like to go over some of the, again, how to find us, if you'd like to hit the little clicker as to where they can find us. And then Uncle Gary, I'm going to let you finish this thing off because you finished it off really well last week.
Yeah,
we did last week.
You can find us on all the socials. Just type in the Codex Station. Whatever the platform is you're looking at, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, on Twitch, we're on X, formerly known as Twitter. I always like how everything is, whenever somebody references an article X, they always put formerly Twitter, like we don't all know. Instagram, we're everywhere. Just type in the Codex Station, or even better yet, go to the codexstation.com, and there's links to all of the socials. Plus, there's profiles and pictures of all of us on the team. Plus, there's some cool merchandise you can get. So that's the one-stop shop. Go check it out there. Give us a follow. Give us, a like. Give us, subscribe to stuff. Help us grow the channel. Let us know what you want to see, because we do it all for you.
You may want to see Sonny in that Cosmic Boy outfit. Well,
Yeah, who knows?
Yeah,
he was the Punisher last year. Maybe this year he will punish us in a different way.
Oh man!
Oh yeah!
Now it's After Dark territory.
Oh yeah, and I won't be useless on that day. I'll try to keep the outfit up. So,
among other things,
it'll be lots of double-sided tape and a hope and a prayer.
Check it out. But Uncle Gary, I will let you finish this off. You're the man with the voice. You know how to do the promos the best. I'll let you send this thing off.
All right. Well,
before that, just want to say, TJ says, great stream, great books. Thanks, guys. Hope you all have a good night/morning. And we hope you do as well, TJ.
You too. Have a good night, morning.
Thank you for commenting. And that, again, TJ's on this channel because he watched us on our Mon Comics crossover. So let's keep in mind, folks, Saturday night after dark. It'll be earlier than usual, a little earlier than usual. We'll have our After Dark show, and Brandon from Mon Comics will come over, and we'll have a wonderful crossover with him. Also, please tune in tomorrow night when we are doing the Comic Character of the Week, and Bishop is our choice. And make sure that you're here next week. Now, I know Dan and I won't be here next week, but no tears, because you may have the Three Musketeers riding together again. We will see. That's all up to if they're back in Sonny's good graces. We'll have to see. But whether they are or not, what you are going to get is another fantastic, informative, fun episode of the Codex Station podcast. When you watch this show, you're getting a show that's done with love, that's done with humor, that's done with smarts, that's done with a joie de vie that we want to give to you. Just like we have all the socials and want to give them to you, we have a joy for this medium that we love so much. This art form that we want to give to you, and we want your feedback with us. But we embrace you, and we want you to embrace us, because that's how this works. That's how this channel builds and expands and gets better and better and better. And the quality of this channel is a two-way street. It's those wonderful people that are watching, and it's these wonderful hosts that we have here that want to get this message out to people on how much we love this medium and this art form. So please tune in, because we love having you being a part of this venture that we are doing as a labor of love. And I speak for all of us when I say that we are all vested in this through our love of comics, and we can't wait to see you next week.